Welcome to another episode of UCRD Reviews. Today I have another figure from Gundam 0083 Stardust Memory, one of my all-time favorite Dom variants, the MS-09F/TROP Dom Tropen version anime. This is the Dom that was used in the beginning of Gundam 0083 to attack the Torrington base, and it very famously sliced a captured Zaku 2 in half, destroyed a powered GM at point-blank range, and did a bunch of other cool stuff later on in the series in desert colors, defending the Gundam GPO-2 from the Albion when it was trying to get to space. So the Dom Tropen, unfortunately, never had a figure back in the MSIA days during the US release or even any of the Japanese releases. And even in like Xeonography, where they would make some of these more oddball mobile suits, they never did a Dom Tropen, unfortunately. So when Robot Spirits started doing the 0083 stuff, the Dom Tropen was one of the main ones that I wanted them to make and to have a figure of, and it finally got released. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up and we're going to take a look at it. So let's go ahead and remove the Dom Tropen. This thing is pretty big, larger than a lot of my other Dom figures. I say a lot of my other, I only have like 3, but it's large for sure. You have actually have some decent head articulation. It's separated by a joint back here, so his head can move upward, and that's about as far down as it'll go. It will move side to side slightly, but not much, because there's a lot of armor in between here. Now you can, although it's going to be difficult, no, not really, you can remove the visor and move the mono eye like a normal Dom figure. And getting the visor back on there isn't the easiest thing in the world, but it is doable. Kind of. Maybe not. There we go. Okay, we got him in there. It's pretty neat. The tubing only goes back to where the red ends, so you're not messing with tubes and stuff. You do have the chest that moves up and down. The whole chest piece, that's about as far up as it goes, but it goes down quite a bit, which is pretty cool. On the back here you have 2 ball jointed thrusters. You have 2 little hard points for the heat saber, a bunch of hard points for all the weapons and extra ammo and stuff. You have a storage piece here, which we'll get into momentarily. You have thrusters and the stand hard point there, and you have little thrusters down here, and a lot of detail in the feet. You see there's a lot going on there. You have this nice skirting here, and you have the I think those are like vents down here. You have hard points up at the front skirt armor, which are hinged, as are the side skirt armor. You have the little scattering beam gun sculpted in there. Arms will go up about that far. The arms will pull out a bit. You have the rotating joint up here. Nice double jointed elbows. And the hands seem to be like single ball jointed. That's not that big of a deal. Legs they have that weird rotating leg joint. I don't know if you can see it in there. They bend a pretty good degree for such a bulky leg design. And this piece, you'll see it gets recessed back in there. Let's see here. In the feet are actually pretty movable. This piece is molded to the bottom of the foot there, so you have a good side to side, decent forward and back I don't know if you have. Oh yeah, you have a little bit of toe articulation. Not much. So this is a pretty articulated Dom, which is really nice. And again, it's got just a ton of detail in here. You know, you have little painted bits like that, which I really like. You know, that a lot of that's absent from the Mobile Suit Gundam era figures. They're much more plain. These 0083 ones really look nice. So let's check out what it comes with. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the hands. You'll see you have a full hand rack here. You have trigger fingers for the guns. You have heat saber hands, which oddly enough have separated trigger fingers as well, so I guess they could be used as gun hands. You have some posing hands down here, some more neutrally posed hands. You have trigger hands that have a slanted wrist, mainly for like using the bazooka and stuff, but it gives you a lot more posing options, and these are hands that usually don't come with most figures, so it's kind of nice to get it with the Dom Tropen. So this is really cool. Now outside of that, you really just get a ton of weapons. So you have 2 Sturmfausts, which are very similar to the ones that come with the Goof test type, I believe is what it was called, the MSV mobile suit. We'll do a comparison with its Sturmfausts here in a minute. But it does come with these, which look pretty cool. You have the orange tips on them. You have 2 different types of connectors, and you have 2 of each. So you have a connector like this that has kind of a little bit of a lip on each side, and then you have a connector that does not have that but has a longer point to it. So you get 2 of these and 2 of these, and the Sturmfausts will just sit inside of them. They don't sit really all that well. They kind of wobble around, but that gives you the ability to maneuver them how you want it. You do get these pieces. So I was trying to figure out what these were. I initially thought they were hand grenades. I know a lot of people did. I translated the instructions, and it says they were Zaku Bazooka spare canisters. So I don't know why the Dom Tropen comes with this. I haven't seen any material that shows these, but you do get them. They look cool. They store with the little pegs here, so nothing crazy. You do get a heat saber. So you have the heat saber here. Now, if you notice, it does have a slight curve to it. Some people say that's intentional. Some people say it's not. I mean, it's pretty noticeable. Even the deactive version has the same curve. The blades are removable on both, so you can put the deactive blade on here so that you can hold a deactive heat sword. The deactive unit has a handle that has a little peg on it. If you can see that there. I don't know if it's focusing. There we go. So, which is pretty cool. It also has the tapered end there, which is anime accurate. So, I don't know if I think they're supposed to be straight, but everybody that has the Dom Tropen says that they are curved. So I don't know if they did that as like a stylized effect for when the Dom was cutting the captured Zaku 2 in half, or if they just messed up, because really either one's entirely possible. So you do get the heat saber. You get a MMP-80 90mm machine gun. So this is basically the same one that comes with the Zaku 2 Kai, and we'll show that as a comparison in just a moment. And it comes with spare magazines. So you get 2 sets of these. You can put it on the front or rear skirt armor. You just never want to show the back because they're super plain. another thing you can do with the machine gun is store it. So we will, there we go, had to get this little guy out of here. So it has a little storage piece, very simple, and this piece will slide onto the machine gun like so. And on the Dom, you remove this back plate and your storage piece will actually set right in. Real simple. The machine gun isn't sitting on there perfectly, but that's okay. It sits on there snug enough where it's not a problem. And lastly here, you have the massive Rakuten bazooka. It has a movable front handle, and it has a ton of detail. It is effect part compatible. You have the camera over here, which is painted in the rear. Not painted in the front, which is kind of unfortunate. Removable magazine. Magazine even has a little round in there. Really cool. And this is effect part compatible as well. I really like the look of this. It does have a large handle, which is going to make it a little harder for, I think, like Zaku 2s and stuff to hold this. But I really like this. Now, one interesting thing to note is you see this little tab here. It looks like it's going to be made to use a clip style storage method, possibly on another mobile suit in the future. So kind of like the Zaku bazooka, you know, you'll have a piece that'll clip on here, and then you can attach it via hardpoint. You'll also notice it has a hardpoint, so it can store on other mobile suits. There's nowhere for it to store on the Dom Tropen, unfortunately, but perhaps we'll see that in the future. Now, these spare magazines it comes with 2 of them, can be stored on the Dom Tropen's waist armor, and they're the exact same as the one that's on the bazooka. So, nice little medley of accessories. Now, the only problem is there's no effect parts. It's really the only downside to this. There's no effect parts that come with the Dom Tropen. I would have liked to have seen at least like some dusting effect, you know, as it's gliding through the ground or something along those lines, maybe a firing effect for the Rakuten bazooka, but we didn't get anything, unfortunately. One thing I wanted to mention about the spare magazine storages is that the magazine storage for the machine gun can only be stored up front. And you have the bazooka magazines have 2 different options. You have up front and you have back here. And then you have the Zaku canisters, or Zaku bazooka canisters, can only be stored in the rear. And you have the Sturmfaust storages. One piece, I believe it's the longer piece, can be stored kind of back here. Let me see if I'm right. Maybe it's here. Yeah, so the longer one can be stored here, and the shorter one can go up closer up front. So I wanted to do 2 different comparisons here real quick. I have the Sturmfaust from the Goof test type and the Sturmfaust from the Dom Tropen. You'll see there's a massive size difference, and the warhead is different as well. This one is actually removable, where this one is not. So pretty interesting. And then the next interesting one is the 90mm machine gun. So you have the one from the Zaku 2 Kai, which looks a little bulkier. It also has this bottom handle. And you have the Dom Tropen. They do have a different muzzle device, so you can see there a little bit clearer. The camera is different. I mean, really the whole kind of profile is different. It's a completely new mold. You see the ejection port is here, but completely absent on the 0080 version. And then you have the wire stock, which is fixed in place. The 0083 version is a little bit more more detailed. You have a different handle. I mean, pretty much everything's different. Now, I don't know if the magazines are interchangeable. Looks like they are, actually. So, magazine seems to be pretty much the same, but everything else looks very different. So, pretty interesting. So now we can take a look at the mobile suit that the Dom Tropen was actually developed from, and that's the Dom Tropical Test Type. And you see there is a massive difference between the two in terms of detail and just the way they're designed. The Dom Tropical Test Type is much simpler, much more smooth lines, a bigger head, and the Dom Tropen is much bulkier and has more going on. You see, like the feet here. The Dom Tropens are much larger. Like I said, the head design, the mono-eye on the Tropical Test Type is huge. The backpack is huge. And then the Dom Tropen is a little more refined. So, really interesting to see both of them side by side. Really glad I have them both. One thing I did want to add real quick, I was looking at the instructions, and it's slight, but it does look like the heat saber actually curves in the instructions. I have the paper as flat as I can, but that looks to be curved. So perhaps it was intentional for whatever reason. Now that we've seen what the Dom Tropen comes with and is capable of, now it comes to the question of, is it worth the cost? So the Dom Tropen is a regular release, and it only cost me $54 plus shipping. For that type of price, it is well worth it. I would pick it up now because usually with great figures like these, they become scarce later on in time. So if you find it anywhere near that $54 price, absolutely get it. This is definitely one of my favorite figures that I own. Definitely my favorite Dom figure. Sorry, Dom Tropical Test Type, but you got beat pretty badly. And another great 0083 figure. The 0083 Robot Spirits line has been magnificent all the way through. I'm really happy with it. Even the GM Type C was a good one. I mean, I know not everybody, that wasn't everybody's favorite, but it was a lot better than a lot of the other figures we've gotten. But I mean, yeah, the Dom here is just magnificent. You have a lot of good stuff. I don't even know if I mentioned it before. You even have thigh swivel on it, which I know is a highly sought after type of articulation. But it looks great posed, however you want to pose it. Comes with a ton of accessories. I mean, lots of options. The only downside to it was lack of effect parts, but I think I can live with that given what we have. So thank you for watching my review. Absolutely pick this one up. Let me know in the comments what you like about it and what maybe you don't like. Maybe there's something in here that you didn't like about it and I just glanced it over. But thank you for y'all's support, and I'll see y'all next time.